Imagine going to bed feeling perfectly fine, and yet it is your last night. No, this is not a horror movie or a scary story. It may seem extreme, but this scenario happens much more frequently than most people are willing to accept. Every year, hundreds of thousands of adults over 50 suffer serious cardiovascular events while sleeping, at the time they should feel the safest. And here lies an uncomfortable truth that almost no one tells you clearly. In most cases, it was not a rare disease or inevitable bad luck. It was the daily repetition of small nighttime habits that seemed harmless. Normal, silent routines that gradually weakened the heart until one night it could take no more. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover what those habits are that turn sleep into a time of real risk for your heart and brain.
We are going to start with the main mistake, the one that silently takes the most lives. The fatal mistake, the position that suffocates you without you noticing. Sleep apnea and sleeping on your back. Mistake number 1, the one that contributed to the tragic death of my patient Robert, is ignoring the signs of obstructive sleep apnea, especially when you make it worse by the position in which you sleep. Many people believe that snoring is normal, a simple annoyance for their partner. But I want you to understand something fundamental. Loud snoring that is interrupted by pauses of silence is not normal. It is a distress signal. It is your body screaming that it is suffocating. I want you to imagine it clearly. Every night while you sleep, it is as if someone sneaks into your room and puts a pillow over your face for 10, 20, sometimes up to 30 seconds. You feel like you cannot breathe, your heart starts beating desperately, your brain panics, and just when you are about to pass out, your body jolts you so you can breathe again. You wake up suddenly, take a breath of air, and go back to sleep without remembering anything. Now imagine that this torture is not repeated 1 or 2 times, but 50, 100, even 300 times every night. That, exactly that, is obstructive sleep apnea. It is not just snoring, it is a fight for your life that your body wages every night without you noticing. What happens on a physiological level? When you sleep, the muscles in your throat relax. In people with apnea, these muscles relax so much that the airway collapses, closing completely, as if a door shut in your throat. Air cannot pass to the lungs, and immediately the oxygen levels in your blood drop. The brain, which is very sensitive to the lack of oxygen, detects the emergency and activates the alarm. It releases stress hormones like adrenaline, the same ones you would release if a lion were chasing you. This surge causes a brief awakening, tenses the throat muscles, opens the airway, and forces you to breathe. And the cycle repeats endlessly. Now let us connect this to the heart and the brain. Every drop in oxygen is an emergency for your cardiovascular system. The heart is forced to pump faster and harder to try to distribute the little oxygen that remains. Blood pressure spikes to dangerous levels. If you have 30 pauses per hour, which is considered severe apnea, you have 30 spikes of very high blood pressure every hour. In 8 hours of sleep, that is 240 hypertensive emergencies every night. This chronic stress, night after night, year after year, is devastating. The walls of your arteries are damaged, becoming stiffer and prone to atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque. The heart muscle weakens from working so hard. The heart rate becomes irregular, increasing the risk of dangerous arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation, which is one of the main causes of stroke. The evidence is overwhelming. Severe sleep apnea can increase the risk of suffering a stroke up to 3 times. In fact, it has been seen that up to 76% of patients who have already suffered a stroke had sleep apnea. This tells us that it is an incredibly common risk factor, and worst of all, often undiagnosed. And pay attention to this. Obstructive sleep apnea is not a snoring problem. It is an oxygen problem, and that is why it can exist even in people who look healthy. Sometimes the clue is blood pressure that does not go down, hypertension that is difficult to control, or that afternoon sleepiness that feels like your body is shutting down. If you have had brief awakenings, night sweats, or wake up with a dry mouth, these are also signs that should not be ignored. And this is where the posture mistake comes in. For someone prone to positional apnea, what is the worst posture? Sleeping on your back. When you lie on your back, gravity takes over. It pushes the base of the tongue and the soft palate backward, narrowing the airway even more. It is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It turns mild apnea into moderate, and moderate into severe, and potentially deadly.
My patient, Robert, snored a lot and always slept on his back. His wife told me that sometimes she noticed he stopped breathing, but both thought it was fatigue. They did not know that every night his heart was being subjected to a marathon of extreme stress. That last night, his heart simply could not take it anymore. The practical solution is not to panic, but to act. First, recognize the signs. If your partner tells you that you snore loudly, that you stop breathing, or that you gasp for air, do not ignore it. If you wake up tired after sleeping 8 hours, have morning headaches, or easily fall asleep during the day, these are warning signs. Second, talk to your doctor. The diagnosis is made with a sleep study, a polysomnography. It is not invasive and can be done in a clinic or even at home depending on the case. It is the only way to know exactly what is happening and how severe the apnea is. Third, change your position starting today. If you sleep on your back, start sleeping on your side. If it is hard for you to stay on your side, use a simple strategy. Place a large, firm pillow against your back. If you try to turn over, it will stop you. Some people wear a shirt with an object on the back to prevent rolling over. It sounds simple, but it works because it forces the body to stay in a safer position. Another practical detail, if you sleep on your side, make sure your head and neck are aligned. A pillow that is too high or too low can also worsen the opening of the airway. And if you are overweight, even moderately, losing a few pounds usually improves apnea in many people, not for appearance, but for mechanics. Fourth, C. And if there is nasal congestion, treat the cause with your doctor, because breathing through your nose helps. And if you have been prescribed a CPAP machine, use it. The CPAP keeps the airway open with air pressure. For many patients, it not only improves rest, but it reduces nighttime stress on the heart and brain. It is not a luxury, it is a tool for protection. Now let us move on to the second dangerous nighttime habit. And this may surprise many when I explain it. Sleeping while slightly dehydrated. It may seem harmless, but in older adults, this is a silent threat. After 60 years of age, the natural sensation of thirst decreases significantly. This means you can be dehydrated without realizing it. In addition, many older adults avoid drinking liquids at night so they do not have to get up to go to the bathroom, which is understandable, but this is where comfort can hide a real risk. When the body is dehydrated, the blood becomes more concentrated and thick. This more viscous blood circulates with more difficulty through the blood vessels. And when circulation slows down, the possibility of blood clots forming increases. If we add to this that during sleep the heart rate and blood pressure naturally drop, an ideal physiological environment is created for a clot to form, travel to the heart and cause a heart attack, or reach the brain and cause a stroke. A study published in the Journal of Cardiology revealed that even mild dehydration can increase the risk of nighttime cardiovascular events by more than 60% in adults over 55 years of age. And in many cases, the cause is as simple as not having drunk enough water during the day. I remember Robert Smith, 71 years old. He was convinced he was doing the right thing by not drinking water after 6 p.m. to avoid interruptions in his sleep. One morning, his wife found him unconscious in bed. He had suffered an ischemic stroke during the night. A clot blocked a key artery in his brain. The tests confirmed severe hemoconcentration. He survived, but permanently lost the mobility of his right hand. He personally asked me to tell his story so that no one else would make the same mistake. The solution is simple. Drink a glass of water between 1 and 2 hours before going to bed. Go to the bathroom right before sleeping and leave a small glass of water on the nightstand in case you need it during the night. Do not sacrifice the balance of your blood just to avoid getting up once. A nighttime pause is a small price compared to the consequences. Now I want to ask you something. Do you recognize this habit in your routine? If so, write yes in the comments. It may seem like a small gesture, but it could help someone else become aware and protect their life. Now we reach the third mistake, one that deeply affects the quality of your nighttime life, and, surprisingly, many people do not realize the consequences until it is too late. This is a very common habit. Overeating right before going to bed. Have you ever wondered what happens when you go to bed immediately after a large dinner? In our daily routine, it seems logical to think that after eating, the best thing is to rest. The common thought is that after a good meal, the body needs time to process it, and we naturally associate it with the act of relaxing, that is, sleeping. But what happens when we overeat at night and then go to sleep immediately is much more complex than it seems, and it can have devastating effects. When we overeat and then lie down, our body does not have the opportunity to properly digest the food before sleeping. Digestion continues while we sleep, and this can result in a series of problems. First, the risk of acid reflux or heartburn increases, a condition in which stomach acid travels up into the esophagus, causing burning, discomfort, and interrupting sleep. This occurs because the body, being in a horizontal position, makes the process of emptying the stomach more difficult. Furthermore, our nighttime metabolism is slower. During the night, the body is in a state of rest, and its metabolism, which is already slower in general, slows down even more while we sleep. Eating late forces the digestive system to work against its own natural rhythm. Foods rich in sugars and fats are more likely to be stored as body fat when they are not processed properly, which can negatively affect circulation and cardiovascular health. Cortisol levels, the stress hormone, also increase, which can interfere with the quality of sleep. This is where the importance of how cortisol production is affected comes into play. Cortisol is a hormone that increases when the body is stressed. Overeating at night, especially heavy and hard to digest foods, activates a stress response in the body, raising cortisol levels. This increase in cortisol not only prevents you from relaxing properly, but it can also interrupt your sleep. Not only that, even if you manage to sleep, you are likely to experience less restorative sleep due to elevated cortisol levels. As a cardiologist, I will tell you that currently there is a large amount of studies linking excessive food consumption before sleeping with a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, including heart attacks and strokes. A study published in the Journal of Cardiology showed that people who overeat at night are more likely to develop heart problems, since intense digestion and sleep disruption increase blood pressure and affect cardiovascular function. The connection between eating late and heart problems is much more closely related than many think.
So, what is the solution? It is quite simple. If you want to avoid the risks associated with eating late, eat at least 2 hours before going to bed, and if possible, 3 hours. This will give your stomach time to empty and allow your body to begin digestion before sleeping. By reducing the time between dinner and sleep, you can allow the digestive process to complete, lower cortisol levels, and improve the quality of your rest. When cortisol levels drop, your body prepares for a deeper and more restorative sleep. Not only will you improve your sleep quality, but you will also protect your cardiovascular system and help your metabolism function more efficiently. Eating lighter at night, without overloading the body, can be one of the small changes that make a big difference in your well-being.
I want you to reflect for a moment. Does this habit sound familiar to you? Do you eat late and then lie down, expecting your body to do all the work while you sleep? If so, write yes in the comments. Sharing this information could help other people become aware and make changes that improve their health. Now let us move on to the fourth dangerous nighttime habit, one that many people underestimate without realizing it: skipping medications or taking them at the wrong time. If you are taking treatment for blood pressure, cholesterol, or using blood thinners, this is not a minor detail. It is a fundamental pillar of your daily protection. Blood pressure is not constant. It follows a natural biological rhythm. Under normal conditions, it decreases during sleep to allow the heart to recover. However, in many adults over 50 years old, this decrease does not occur. In some cases, it even reverses, and blood pressure rises during the night. We call this nocturnal hypertension, a silent but highly dangerous condition. Large studies published in the Lancet journal have shown that correctly adjusting the timing of medication can reduce the risk of nighttime heart attacks and strokes by almost half. But when doses are forgotten or taken irregularly, silent spikes in blood pressure appear during sleep. These spikes can rupture fat plaques in the arteries and promote the formation of clots that travel to the heart or brain without warning. I remember the case of Joseph Martin, 70 years old. For weeks, he skipped his medication on several nights, convinced that it would not have consequences. One night, he suffered a severe stroke while sleeping. He survived, but with permanent, lasting effects that impact his mobility and independence. The lack of control over his medication caused an alteration in the function of his cardiovascular system, and the result was devastating. Medication timing is a matter of life. It is not enough to take it, it is essential to do it at the right time and consistently. Always talk to your doctor about the correct schedules and follow their instructions without exception. Because protecting your health also means respecting those small habits that sustain your life every day.
Nighttime blood pressure is one of the leading causes of strokes and heart attacks in the older adult population. During the night, the body enters a resting mode in which blood pressure should decrease. However, in people with nocturnal hypertension, blood pressure spikes can occur during sleep, significantly increasing the risk of dangerous cardiovascular events. What is even more alarming is that many people do not realize they have this problem, as there are no obvious symptoms during the night. Medication is crucial to control these blood pressure spikes, especially in those who already have a history of heart disease or circulation problems. The solution is simple and consists of following a proper routine to take medication regularly. Talk to your doctor to make sure you are taking the medications at the right times. Sometimes, the time of day we take medication has a major impact on the effectiveness of the treatment. In some cases, medication for hypertension should be taken in the morning, while other medications, like blood thinners, may require a specific schedule at night. Make sure to follow your doctor's instructions to the letter and not skip any doses. A good strategy to make sure you are taking your medication correctly is to keep a record of all the doses you need to take and at what time. You can use an alarm on your cell phone or a weekly pill organizer to make sure you do not forget to take your medications. In addition, it is important to establish a fixed schedule for taking medication so that it becomes a habit you cannot forget. It is essential to avoid treating yourself without a prescription. Although it can be tempting to take more medication than recommended when we feel we are not improving, this can be very dangerous, as altering the dose can have serious adverse effects. Taking medication on your own can also interfere with other treatments, so it is always better to consult with a doctor before making any adjustments. It is not enough to just take the medication correctly. It is also important to have regular checkups of your cardiovascular health. Periodic checkups with your doctor, including blood pressure monitoring, blood tests, and cholesterol evaluations, are critical to ensuring that your treatment is working properly. This will allow you to adjust any medication or treatment if necessary and prevent serious complications. Taking care of your health not only means taking medication, but also incorporating daily habits that promote your well-being. Restorative sleep, a healthy diet, and regular exercise also play a crucial role in controlling blood pressure and preventing heart disease. Make sure to follow all medical recommendations and take your medications as directed. In summary, medication timing is a crucial aspect for cardiovascular health and for preventing serious diseases like a heart attack or stroke. Do not forget to always consult with your doctor about your medication schedules and your treatment. A small adjustment to your medication schedule can be the difference between health and an emergency. Do not underestimate the power of these small habits that day after day sustain your life. Now we reach the fifth dangerous nighttime habit, and this one, honestly, is one of the most ignored, even though it can be responsible for many preventable deaths, because it seems harmless. Sleeping in a room that is too hot or too cold. It may sound simple, but the science behind this is very clear. Room temperature directly influences the work of your heart during the night. When you sleep in a room that is too hot, above 72 degrees Fahrenheit, your body does not really rest. It has to constantly activate itself to eliminate excess heat. Blood vessels dilate, your heart beats faster, and you sweat, which causes fluid loss and increases blood viscosity. Furthermore, sleep becomes shallow, fragmented, and the body does not reach the deep phases necessary for cardiovascular recovery. And most importantly, blood pressure does not drop as it should during the night. Studies from Harvard Medical School and data published in the American Heart Association Journal have identified elevated temperature during sleep as an independent risk factor for nighttime cardiovascular events, especially in people over 60 years old. But extreme cold is not safe either. Sleeping in a room below 59 degrees Fahrenheit causes intense vasoconstriction. Blood vessels narrow, increasing vascular resistance. The heart is forced to pump with greater effort. In arteries hardened by age, this can destabilize plaque and trigger a heart attack in a matter of hours. American research has shown that heart attack deaths increase notably during cold periods, especially at night. The ideal temperature for sleeping is between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. In this range, the heart can naturally reduce its rate, blood pressure drops, and the body enters a phase of deep repair.
I remember Helen Reed, 66 years old. She lived in a very hot area and did not use air conditioning. During a heat wave, she slept in a room that exceeded 86 degrees Fahrenheit. One night, she suffered a heart attack while sleeping. Her heart could not recover under that constant stress. If you cannot perfectly control the temperature, use fans, air out the room, or adjust your bedding according to the season. Your heart needs stability to rest. It is not a matter of comfort, it is a vital necessity. Now that you understand these 5 dangerous nighttime habits, I want to give you something even more valuable. Not just information, but a clear, practical, and achievable guide. A protective nighttime routine that you can start tonight. Because the difference between risk and protection is often not in something complex, but in what you do every day without realizing it. Imagine for a moment that every night is an opportunity to repair your body, to give your heart the rest it has earned after a lifetime of working without pause. But it can also be, if you are not careful, a moment of vulnerability. The good news is that you can decide which side you are on. At 7 p.m., start with a light dinner. You do not need to eliminate the pleasure of eating, but you do need to choose wisely. Lean proteins, vegetables, and easy-to-digest foods. Avoid heavy fats, large portions, and excess salt. Your heart does not need to struggle while you sleep. At that same time, drink a glass of water. Do not wait until you are thirsty. And if you have medication prescribed for the night, respect the indicated schedule. This simple gesture can make a huge difference in the stability of your blood pressure while you sleep. At 8 p.m., slow down. Your body needs clear signals that the day is ending. A gentle walk, reading a few pages of a book, listening to calm music. Avoid arguments, stressful news, or bright screens. Your mind must also prepare to rest. At 9 p.m., prepare your environment. Adjust the room temperature, not too hot and not too cold. Leave a glass of water near the bed. Dim the lights. Create a space that invites deep rest. Remember that your heart responds to that environment more than you imagine. At 9:30 p.m., visit the bathroom. Completely empty your bladder. Brush your teeth. If you have additional medication, take it at that time. This small routine reduces interruptions and protects your rest. The way you sleep also matters. If you snore or suspect sleep apnea, try sleeping on your side with proper neck support. If you wake up during the night, do not get up abruptly. Sit up first. Breathe. Then move calmly. If you need it, take small sips of water. This routine is not complicated, but it is powerful. Studies on the circadian rhythm and blood pressure have shown that habits like these can reduce nighttime cardiovascular stress by more than 40%. Now let us remember the 5 habits that can put your life at risk while you sleep. Eating dinner late and overeating. Taking medication incorrectly or skipping it. Ignoring sleep apnea. Going to bed dehydrated. Sleeping in an environment with the wrong temperature. Each of them is dangerous on its own. Together, they form a silent but devastating combination. And here is the truth that many people avoid, but that you need to hear. Many nighttime heart attacks and strokes do not happen by chance. They are preventable. You do not need to spend large amounts of money. You do not need complicated solutions. You need awareness. You need consistency. If you are over 50 years old, this is especially important for you. Because the fear of getting sick, losing independence, depending on your children, or facing high medical expenses is not an exaggeration. It is a reality that can approach if you do not act in time. But there is also another reality. You can age with dignity. You can maintain your autonomy. You can live more years with quality. And it all starts with small decisions, repeated every day. Your heart has been with you since the first moment of your life. It has not stopped for a single second. It has withstood stress, worries, and changes. The least it deserves is that you take care of it, especially when it rests. Before finishing, I want to ask you something important. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I share clear, direct, and science-based information to help you protect your health. Like this video, it is not just a click, it is a way to make this message reach more people who need it. Leave a comment. Write, "Yes, I am changing this tonight." That commitment can be the beginning of a real change, not just for you, but for someone else who reads your words. And finally, share this video with someone you care about. It can be your partner, a friend, a family member. You never know when a simple action can prevent a tragedy. Sleep should be an act of repair, not a hidden risk. Tonight, you have the opportunity to choose differently, and that choice can change your future.